Oh boy, here we go again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is your host JD. I hope you're all doing well and you've all had a great day so far. Now it has been quite some time since the release of the most impressive impressive film Disney have ever produced, Snow White starring Rachel Zegler, everybody's favorite actor. Now I think it's fair to say this film has been one of, if not the biggest flops for Disney ever. And we all know why. Look, I'm not going to sit here and repeat every single thing that happened at this point. You guys know the whole story, but essentially it was all to do with the woke direction Disney took Snow White in. It was something fans didn't want to see. They didn't want another female character to be turned into some girl boss. We've seen it time and time again. It is boring. And then introducing the woman who played Snow White, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, Rachel Zegler. Yes, as you can see, Disney also decided that it was stunning and brave to race swap Snow White. At this point, I don't know where they get their ideas from. I'm in awe of the intelligence on display. I really am. But every time this woman said something in the lead up to this film's release, it got worse and worse for Disney because apparently Rachel Zegler just had the bright idea to trash the original story. And look, you guys have seen millions of times now everything Rachel Zegler has said in the past. But just to remind ourselves of one of the many reasons as to why this film failed, let's take a listen to Rachel Zegler again. This is the woman who played Snow White. Take a watch.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Definitely somebody you want playing your main character. But with all this controversy, all this backlash, and the film, by the way, being absolutely terrible, I don't know if you guys have actually seen it, but it was one of the most boring times of my life. I'm not joking when I say this. You see this room I'm in, I would rather redecorate it and sit in front of one of the walls and watch the paint dry than go ahead and watch Disney's Snow White. It was that bad. But with all of that, it is no surprise that Disney ended up losing millions and millions of dollars. As Forbes go on to report, Snow White no doubt lost money, but how much? Given the huge gap between the film's theatrical gross of $205.5 million and its production budget of $269.4 million, there's no arguing that Snow White ended its theatrical run deep in the red. The question that remains, however, is how much those losses were. To begin with, the production needs to split its ticket sales with theater owners, which generally is a 50-50 split. On top of that, the film has marketing expenses as well as residual payments and other expenses. In a post-mortem analysis by Deadline on March 31st, a mere 10 days after Snow White's release in theaters, the Hollywood trade publication crunched the numbers by forecasting that the film would finish with a worldwide box office gross of $225 million. Operating from that number, Deadline projected the film would eventually clear $295 million in revenues from Snow White, which included $101 million in global film rentals, $62 million in worldwide home entertainment, $130 million in streaming and TV revenues, and $2 million from merchandise. Then, however, came the film's expenses, which Deadline estimated were $410 million for the production. In addition to the film's nearly $270 million price tag, Deadline noted that Disney also spent $111 million on global marketing costs and $29 million in residuals and other expenses. As such, Deadline concluded that Disney would lose $115 million on Snow White. However, since the March 31st analysis was based on a projection of a $225 million worldwide theatrical gross, the worldwide tally of $205.5 million as of June 5th means the studio will lose even more. So I think we can all sit here and say, yeah, money well spent. But regardless of all of that, we all know it was going to happen. Every single person predicted, even way before the film was released, that Disney would lose hundreds of millions of dollars. It was so obvious to see. Even Stevie Wonder could see it. But the mainstream media, boy, they have no shame. You see, Disney have just released the film on Disney Plus, and the media have the nerve to put out headlines to make it seem like, oh wow, this is an amazing film. Let's check out some of them. Rachel Zegler's Snow White gaining popularity on Disney Plus. Disney's Snow White remake becomes a streaming hit following box office flop. Again, rinse and repeat the same headline. Disney's Snow White remake becomes a streaming hit following box office flop. Snow White, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot's live-action remake takes #1 spot on Disney Plus after box office disaster. Snow White's disastrous box office outcome couldn't stop its Disney Plus takeover. Disney's controversial box office bomb is a streaming hit. Do you know what that sounds like? It's like all these news organizations got together, sat around a table and said, you know what guys, let's put some out there. Every single headline is pretty much the same. This is how, ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream media, we all know this, try and manipulate people, because those headlines will make people out there think, oh wow, this is actually worth watching. It's a #1 hit. I have to see this. They're trying to save face for Disney. They're trying to get people to watch this garbage, increase the numbers, which, by the way, for these very intelligent news outlets out there, of course this film is going to be up there because #1, Disney don't release things constantly on their platform, and #2, barely anybody went to go and watch it in the cinema. They didn't want to pay the extortionate amount of money to go and watch this crap. Some of the cinemas were totally empty. They would rather wait for it to start streaming on Disney Plus, and then they are going to find out how bad it is. You know, in the past, we have seen Disney release absolute slop onto Disney Plus and it hits #1 because people don't want to go and watch things in the cinema. You know, they've heard terrible things about it. Why are they going to go ahead and go to the cinema and spend a lot of money? So Disney then go ahead and release it on their platform. People are like, wait, oh, something new to watch. They all go together and watch it, and that's why it hits #1. It's not going to stay there for far too long. I give it, what, 2 weeks after people have watched it and seen it and gone, yeah, this is total crap. So for anybody who hasn't seen the film, do not let the mainstream media pull the wool over your eyes, okay? They have to try and spin this in a positive way because that's what they always do. They also don't want to lose their access to early screenings, etc, etc. Total fakery. But that is the end of the video. Ladies and gentlemen, leave your thoughts down below about the woke media trying to save Disney and Rachel Zegler. I'd like to know everything you guys think. If you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Share this video, follow my socials down below in the description. But until next time, has been your host JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace. You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and watch Snow White again. Nah. I'm going to go ahead and redecorate this room and sit in front of one of my walls and watch the paint dry. Much more entertaining. I promise you that.